Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with another East Tennessee fishing report with Ellis Ward. How are you doing, Ellis?
I'm doing well, Marv. How are you?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. And, we were talking before we started recording. You're in your new place. You're starting to get into your groove. Things are looking good. You're getting a little bit of rain. It's not super crazy hot, but not too bad for mid-June, right?
No, and we're getting, these storms that are the reason why I tell everyone to bring rain jacket. We just get these splashes that'll, we've been seeing developing throughout the afternoon, but they tend to happen pretty quick, last about, 15, 20, 30 minutes maybe, and then sort of partly cloudy, maybe 10 degrees cooler, make for a nice evening if you're not soaking wet. But we've had one or two of those recently, and it's nice. It's the trips last week, we're catching fish on dry flies in a bunch of different ways. And, a fish eating a dry fly on top is the catch-all for what we're doing. You're seeing them eat, so we're not really blind casting and just drifting. We're stopped, we're seeing them eat, and we're catching them. But the ways in which we approach that process can vary. And in the less buggy times, I don't know, just times where you're really isolating certain areas and a specific type of a specific type of bug, a not very, but pretty specific drift. This is lots of bugs from sizes, 14 to 22, and or both. They're really the fish are in there eating, and we had a couple days in a row of being able to kind of work with some tree cover and some shade and positioning of the boat to where we're not just seeing the fish. We are seeing that. We're actually seeing the fish through the water and watching it come up and sort of nose the fly and then eat it. And it's made for it, which is just a whole different, you want to talk about sight fishing. Like that's normally if you're casting to, I see a trout over there that's rising and here's the bug, I think it's going to that trout. That's pretty classical sight fishing. It's, casting to a specific fish. And a lot of these fish aren't even holding current. They're outside of the scene. They're in sort of slack water. And it requires a little bit of doing where there's been some dry fly casting and coaching. Shout out my boy Connor for becoming vocally, and admittedly, I'll say a dry fly convert, smallmouth, steelhead, not necessarily tiny dry fly aficionado, but that changed frequently after we had one of these days. And, using that night as an example, 10 minutes between 19-inch brown trouts, one of them on the streamer and actually the portlier of the two on a dry fly a few minutes later. So, you add that as, let's say, our first 4 to 6 hours of fishing. And, you add that to what we have in the night, which is, this week we're looking at 60 degrees, low 60s. And it's really comfortable to be mousing. I crashed it a little bit in March, April, but having these 90-degree days, it's when you start fishing at 2 or 3 with the eye towards, we're going to fish towards the lower light, fish the the releases in the afternoons and evenings, and then fish under darkness. They feed around 3 or 4 p.m., especially if there's no clouds. That'll let you know you're making the right decision. And fish are agreeing. So getting good fish in the boat on drive, and it's not just sight fishing the big ones and doing the technical stuff. There's so saying about the different types are also, seeing them feed very aggressively and finding pods of really healthy, like 12 to 14 inch rainbows. And it's not going to be every day, but we're in that zone right now, and that zone can last through July, and then things look a little different. There's these kind of micro seasons within these tailwaters, but this is definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, is there anything kind of with respect to the streamer bite you want to share with folks?
I started for anyone watching any of my YouTube videos at Ellis Ward Fishing on YouTube. This is going to be familiar. Probably the same thing with Instagram. That I really try to not drink my own Kool-Aid. I think that I get towards an 80-20 most of the time. Getting in the right place and doing the right thing to get food back. And I've just gotten some feedback from social media, which is always this is a dangerous game to play, but it's just interesting with I love tying streamers. I love fishing them. If I can get away with it, I love fishing 8-inch crafty changers for brown trout. Clear water, reasonable flows, and a big sun, not the time. I mean, you can do it for fun, or if things are looking really sporty, or if things are not looking sporty at all. But kind of staying within that, like maybe down to 2.5. The only reason that I limit on the downside is I don't think going smaller makes a big difference. And I want to be able to see it, and you want to be able to see it. And so that can be done, something visible with a really small profile. You can do that with a flashy, a couple extra pieces of flash on a clouser or a Creelax. Like that's really the low end that I really haven't even been fishing Creelax that much, but the double bugger platform, peanut envy, that type of thing. And the dungeon variants and using craft fur and all that, and kind of keep it in that. If you're not getting feedback on the bigger stuff, which I cannot fault you for starting there, I tend to start there myself, and I tend to start clients there as well. I'm pretty quick to switch because I value people's time and money, but I do want to see if they're going to smash the 6-inch fly on top. That we got to check that box first. But very quick to go into the olives and the naturals and the slightly sinkier, and let's not make them come up towards where the birds are, which a lot of times looks like between 3 and 4 inch. We'll say classic trout streamer. Also trout streamer, streamer in general, baitfish pattern, crawfish pattern. But if you're out there as much as that can be working, like if that's working, great, you can do that and do the same thing and get that same feedback all day. Or if you're finding that that's working after a little while, maybe go smaller, maybe go bigger. I would say just continue to test how that bite is changing, and section to section, river to river, you can see some differences. And yeah, if you're not getting feedback on the smaller stuff, it can't hurt at all. They're fun to tie, they're fun to cast. When you do it well, it can't hurt at all to fish big stuff for a little bit and see what happens.
Well, folks, there you go. And, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us or DM us on social media, whatever is easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. And we're going to do a drawing for some cool stuff from Ellis at the end of the season. And Ellis, before I let you go, you want to let folks know where they can find you and fish with you. I know you've been putting some YouTube content up too, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, you like that little, I don't know what they call that in the biz, but worked at Ellis Ward Fishing on YouTube, and I have a bunch of time videos up there. I should do a better job of promoting all the content I have there. Instagram is at Ellis Ward Guides. Website is at Ellis Ward Flies, and best way to contact me: book trips, ask questions, talk about how excited you are for bucktail coming up. Text me your questions about which days are the best days for you to be coming here and dry fly fishing, streamer fishing, and mouthing for multiple days in a row. My cell phone at 513-543-0019.
Yeah, and I've got links to your YouTube channel and everything in the show notes. And folks, remember too, if you join our community on Patreon, there are a couple options where you get discounts on Ellis's bucktails. But another great one is there's one where you have a guide credit every year for taking trips with Ellis. So great way to support the articulate fly, great way to support Ellis. And, as we start moving deeper into summer, as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ellis.
Appreciate it, Marv.